Mark Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining me. Today, I've got my hazelnut coffee ready and to go for the podcast. Got my podcasting hat on that is actually sound activated. Got it in Vegas a couple years ago now. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I got it in New York casino there, so I'm ready. So without further ado, today's podcast title is "While We Are Postponing Post While We Are Postponing Life Speeds By," and that's by Seneca. Not quite that way. He probably stated it better than that, but anyway, while we are postponing, life speeds by, and this was actually put into my heart by God, like most everything lately has been. I always wonder what's going to be the podcast topic, and I've been looking for guests, and so far everybody just is too busy to do it. So I'm always looking for guests, to join me on telling me their story, their backstory on how they got to where they are today. So on this, Cheryl and I can really relate with this, and I think most people can relate with this. Life happens, and as you've known, if you've been listening to the podcast, and it's been most of our life. I think most people do that. They have, when you're a kid, you don't think about postponing anything. You go out there and play, whatever you want that toy, you go get that toy, and there's no money situated or attached to it. And I think that we just are more like we're more like dogs are. We live in the moment, look forward to the moment. But when we become adults, we're supposed to quote unquote grow up and be responsible, and that is I'm responsible, but I really didn't grow up. My inner child is still very strong, and it will be always. And but going back, we go back, and I think most people can relate with this. You get out of school, you have all this debt, you start making payments to your student loan debt. Maybe you're trying to rent a place for $2,000 a month or whatever it is, and car breaks down, and you just went to get groceries, and it took the last dime you have. Kid got sick, like one of our neighbors the other day, their son had to have an MRI. Life happens, and all those things cost money. They all cost quite a bit of money, I can tell you that, especially anything medical wise. And I mean, and the other ones, college and university debt is high too. But it all keeps us from moving forward. It keeps us postponing. It keeps us from actually living our life. Actually, it keeps us in bondage. And maybe that's a strong word, but it really kind of does, because we don't go and live the life we don't live the life we would live if money were no object. But the thing is, what Cheryl and I found out, you have to go forward anyway. It's just like and I've said this before. If like Cheryl with her cancer, and she needed a surgery or something like that, and we didn't have the insurance wasn't going to pay most of it or whatever, you would still go ahead. If that was one of your loved ones, or just anybody, you just we would all go ahead if there was something that we could help with on with money that we for a loved one that needed to have the surgery. Even if we didn't have it, we'd say okay, and we would just like, I don't know where I'm going to find this. I have no idea where I'm going to find this. And that's kind of been the way Cheryl and I have been the last few months. Have no idea. Today was the day. It's like today was that same way with Cheryl and I. We of course never had any bills, but we needed groceries and gas, and we could have just stayed home and done nothing, and just hoped we had just enough money to pay the bill on Tuesday or Wednesday, and it's just like, and lived a meek life, and that's not what God wants. That's not what you should ever go for. And I don't think anybody on purpose goes for that. I think a lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it because it becomes such a part of you, a habit. And like a lot of habits, it's a bad habit. It's a habit that I understand because it's like fear. And I have learned with this awakening I've had that fear is usually sent from the devil, Satan, evil. And I always think now it's like, okay, if I'm in fear, that's, because God says to give it to him. And I do. And, it's so peaceful, like I've said, but he takes care of it, and it's just like, it's sometimes not the way you think he'll take care of it, and there are tests. Like Joyce Meyer said, you can have a testimony, but the first part of that word is a test. And let me tell you, he tests you, and sometimes he will give you the test. It's like, I'm not going to cover that bill. It's like, so how are you going to do this? I want to see, because we don't ever grow when we're in easy times. You might a little bit, but you grow the most when you are like, how am I going to do this? You think of different ways. Um, one of the things that with Cheryl and I usually always loaded this podcast up to Buzzsprout and then put it out to Spotify, all of them. In fact, that's what Buzzsprout was, what I had them doing. But Cheryl and I were not able to pay that this month, so God and gave me other ideas. It's like, maybe it's time to think of a different way, and so I knew I could take from Riverside, and I put it into my YouTube channel. Usually later, after I've already dropped it on Spotify and Amazon Music and all, or Apple Music and everywhere else. There's like 18 places it drops. But without not being able to do that with Buzzsprout, it's just like, okay, I think I'll just do it to my YouTube channel immediately. And you know what? That has been really very successful. It has been very good, because I think more people, for one thing, you can watch me, and if you're looking at YouTube, you can watch me and still listen to me, or you can just listen to me, some other time. You don't have to. You can listen to YouTube, but it's kind of a win-win, and it has gotten definitely more notoriety. I don't know, notoriety. People have seen who I am, what I'm about, and that has been definitely a thing that I would not have had if I hadn't had the other blocked. And I think sometimes we need to go forward, and when we postpone stuff, it's like, I can't go on that trip because something happened, and it's like, yeah, you can. You just have to find a way, because the old saying, "Where there's a will, there's a way," is very, very true. There's always a way. Sometimes it's really deep down to find the way to get to the next thing you want to do. If it is a trip, or you want to buy, something, that big 82-inch screen TV or whatever it is, or a new car. Maybe you want to buy a Lambo. So I know that would not be Cheryl's choice. She really, and I would too. Keep our Subaru. We are very big Subaru fans. So they just are amazing cars, and I love all-wheel drive. So, and I'm not doing a plug for Subaru, but that car has been through a lot. We were talking about that this morning. I mean, it's a 2018 Legacy, and it has, let's see, it's hit a coyote, a deer, a guy ran into it in our driveway. It's been a trooper. It's like I told my wife, it's like a Timex. It just keeps on ticking. And no, the car owes us nothing. It's been awesome, and it protected us so well. I mean, the deer, all the airbags went off, and it definitely protected us. So getting past that, but we always postpone. That's usually, I think, the go-to for most people, unless they kind of become aware that they need to not do that. They need to give it to God, which is something that I really, until recently, I'd always heard of it. Give it to God and be still. And being still for me is quite difficult, because I'm one that likes to take charge, and it's like, I'm going to do that, whatever. That's the last thing I do. It's kind of that grind mentality, which triggers me, but I have been guilty of doing it myself. Not so much now. I'm learning more how to be still and let God do his thing. It's been awesome. And, but it's just like, if you postpone it, if you get into the habit of postponing, it's like, okay, that trip that you're going to take when you're 35, let's say, and it's like, something happens the year that you're going to do it. It's like, oh, now we're not going to be able to do it. And it's like, unless you're having something wrong with yourself, and even then, I think you maybe should do the trip, but it's just like, oh, the money's going to go out. I'm not going to feel well. And the secret is, you do it anyway. And sometimes you don't feel well. Actually, like some of these people that, amputees and stuff that run races. And I mean, some of these 114-year-old grandma I was looking at the day, and she was really, I mean, she did not look like 114, but she had her whole day planned. And she could have just postponed it because, like, I got aches and pains. And that's not how she got to 114. It's a lot of mindset. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of making that decision, because I guarantee you, I bet she's got some aches and pains, but she doesn't postpone it. She knows life's short, and it is very short. I can tell you. I've told you that before on here. I'm 61. I've told you that many times on this podcast. Cheryl and I were just talking. It seemed like we just got married. And if you guys have watched the podcast, I mean, we've been married over 33 years now. And it's just like, and we have done a lot of things, but I wish we'd gotten the mindset earlier on that we have now. Like, it's like, it's going to happen. And for one thing, when you do that, and I'm in a manifestation, and I know some people think, it's just, there's nothing to that. But there is. It's like, if you want to manifest something, you visualize it. You get it in your mind really, really clear. It's just like you're already there, and you can feel like if you're on the beach in Bali, let's say, and you can feel the sand under your feet. You're sitting on there getting a suntan. You're out with the waves. I like to go out in the waves and let them bring me in. I love the ocean, so it's easy for me to. And even if you haven't been to the ocean, you still can visualize what it would be like, what you appear to be like. And for one thing, you can kind of see with all the stuff, look at a YouTube or any place on there, it's like you can kind of see what it's like, but you have to visualize it. You have to be like, I was reading the thing, your mind has to be there before you actually get there. And that is that is a secret for manifestation. It's just like, Cheryl and I have a bunch of trips that will go on. I don't know how we're going to do it right now, but they will go on. And I had the one, actually, this Jack Murray, and shout out to Jack Murray in Portugal from Canada. Amazing 15-year-old kid. Check him out. He's got a great newsletter. Everything he does is awesome. He's aspiring superstar in soccer, and that's why his family moved all the way from Canada to Portugal, Lisbon. And he's just, I talked to him a couple of hours the other day, and he's so inspirational. So check him out, Jack Murray, and his whole family is. But it's just like, he's very good, because I asked him the other day. It's like he's already got his 18. He's 15. He's already got his 18-year-old what he's going to have done, and I told him he'll probably have it done way before 18. But he has it visualized. He knows exactly what he's going to be, what to get there, but he knows what it's going to be like. Even if he hasn't been there physically yet, in his mind, he has that. It's like, this is what it's going to be like when I get there, or when he becomes, because he's going to become a superstar. Whatever he does, he's going to be superstar. And Jack, I mean that. And just like the other day, he said that maybe he wanted to speak on stage in New York City, and we just were talking. He's like, I never said that out loud. And it's like, yeah, you just put it out to the universe. And that's another thing. Put it out to the universe. Give it to God. It's just like, there's something about that, putting it out there. Writing it down is even better. That puts it down on physical, so you can keep looking at that goal. I have numerous whiteboards that I put down, and it's weird, because I've had this whiteboard. The stuff's been up there for a few years, but the stuff is starting to come true now that I basically put out to the universe like 3 years ago. So it's like, okay, this is pretty awesome. This is pretty cool. And there's so much more that we don't know. And if you don't and are interested, just look at manifestation, all the stuff, that's out there to get what you want, because everything is possible. And that's another thing. If you ask God, asking you shall receive. Very true. It is exactly that way. It may not be exactly the way you think it was going to come about, but it does occur. And that way you don't have to postpone and let life go by. And I think that probably a lot of you think it's woo-woo, and I would have a few years ago, but it is not woo-woo. It is where I've gotten to doing what I'm doing now. Is I look at my life, and it's like, I've got a podcast. It's in its third year. It's starting to pick up traction. Things take time. I'm just getting to be known. And because I know people, it's like, well, aren't you making money now by that? It's like, takes time. It may take other people less time, but it's a learning process, like anything too. But it is just, I'm doing everything I can so I don't have to postpone life. This morning we could have not gone for coffee, and could have, like I said, could have stayed home and waited to pay the bills next week, and not had enough gas in the car to it's just like you have to make a decision. And the decision is, it's like, I'm not postponing anything anymore. I'm doing it now. I deserve it. Like the old saying is, when you believe that you deserve better, you get better, because the universe will bring that about. If you get what you believe you need to, what you believe about yourself, you will get back. When you deserve better, you get better. And all these things that I mean, like I said, I would have thought it was woo woo myself, but don't postpone, because that's where people don't ever catch their dreams. I see so many people, they they get out of school, get the job, start the 40, 40, 40, the thing where you work for 40 years. And I'm not going to go into that. I think everybody knows what that is. So, and then at the end, it's like, well, maybe retirement, I'm going to get to go on a cruise. Oh, I went on my one cruise. Now I can only, it's just like, why do you say that you only need to do on one, go on one? It's just like, we all deserve to go on as many as we want. We get to deserve as many things as we want. And some people like that's like gluttony, or whatever it is. It's like, it isn't. If you want to go on whatever, if you want to go to the beach, make sure you go to the beach. If you want to go to the beach every other week or every day, do it. It can be. And forget what anybody else is saying. Forget what anybody else is saying. Because the world tries to tell you who you are. And that's one thing that's why I'm still childlike. That is why I'm still tormenting Cheryl with my inner child. And she would probably agree on that. I did just a little bit ago. It's just like, have fun. Life is too short to be serious. And I mean, yeah, there are certain things you got to be serious about. Cheryl's cancer was definitely a time to be serious. But even then, we took short trips and had fun. Yeah, there's always going to be times where you do have to, but there's always a way you can turn it around and make something fun out of it, as much as that was. And that's what got us started traveling. We started doing the short trips with her cancer, and she was on intense chemo. I know I've said that on this podcast too, but it was, it got her mind off how she was feeling, losing her hair. It just was a win-win, because we got to take short trips, which were like day trips, but it got us to the places where we were just looking. I mean, it's just like, we've been to a lot of places locally. Still a lot more to go. And I noticed yesterday we were cleaning stuff out. We hadn't been to Coffeyville, Kansas. We've been to a lot of places in Kansas, and not as good as our friend Seth. He's from Colby, Kansas, and he could be a travel agent for Kansas or tour, whatever. He knows everything in Kansas, and Kansas is amazing. I don't care what your thoughts are. Every state is. Every place is. And we love Kansas. We're kind of drawn to Kansas, and we're only one county away, being here in Nebraska where we're at. But in fact, one place we love is Manhattan, Kansas. It's where Kansas State is at. It is an awesome community. Could definitely live there. They've got this liquid art winery. It's up on the side of the hills, the Flint Hills. It's beautiful. Got great wine. They just got great everything. And the Nico's, which is an awesome Italian restaurant in Manhattan. Manhattan just is cool. But that's another thing about mindset. Any place is going to be, if you really have it, that it's going to be. If you think it's not going to be, or this place is going to suck, probably will. So, but getting back to postponing, people postpone. They start out postponing after college or school. They get their job because they have to keep working. I gotta get this going. The boss. If you're working for somebody, you probably won't have any time to take off, and then life keeps happening. You maybe have kids. The kids are sick, so you postpone it again, and before you know it, you've postponed your whole life. And then at the end, you think, because a lot of people, most people that I talk to don't have any retirement or very little, so they're going to have to postpone more because they don't have the means to do it. And but there are probably ways they can do small trips like Cheryl and I did and get started. And then and like I was saying on the last podcast, there's got to be a way to get people to invest, give them a nest egg. That would be something the government could do, but the government or people of wealth, get them started, get this snowball effect going, and not IRAs. Like I said the other day, it's like, give them something. I'm into crypto, so I do believe in that. I'm into gold, silver, and all that stuff too. But I'm not into the traditional. I mean, I don't do the stock market. I don't do anything like that. Um, I I just don't have any confidence in that. Not saying that it might be good for you, because I'm not one of those. It's just what I'm doing, and but I I just think that you need to get to investing. Actually investing that is going to potentially give you freedom at the end if you are wanting that. The good thing is start investing when you're young, and maybe be self-employed. You know, one thing when you're self-employed, you just have a lot of bosses, but you have more freedom to do, the things that you want and not postpone. Because if you're the mindset, usually if you're entrepreneurial, you have the mindset of you need to do it now. And some people still grind. They still, most of them still realize that they need to take the time to chill, and it's something that, and that's another thing, we need to not feel guilty about chilling, or just taking our time for ourselves. What we used to have no problem with, no guilt. Like I've said many times, my grandparents played cards. I remember just doing whatever, as a kid out there with a bike. And I had actually, my sister and I had this bike path that we'd made, and just had great time, great memories. And then and I don't even think when I was getting out of college, I mean, first job was crazy busy, and I didn't put up with that, because it's like, no, this is my life. And that's the thing, we have to take this seriously. This is your life. Do not postpone it. It is not going to get better by chance. It's by you, yeah, something may come into your life that will help you, but you need to make, it's like, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. This fall, Shirley will be going to Portugal. It's just, this summer, whatever, this year yet, Shirley will be going back to Italy. Don't have any idea on that, but it's just like, I'm putting it out to the universe, and that's worth a lot. Tell people. It's like, yeah, I'm going. I'm going to go this trip to whatever, and maybe you're going to Yellowstone. And it's just like, it's more likely if other people hear it, because it's like, so how's that trip coming along to Yellowstone? And you can't postpone it then, not near as easily, at least. And that is how you get to not postponing your life. You just need to have other people hold you accountable. It's just like, you tell the world, is like, I'm going to do this. More than likely, you're going to find a way to do that, because it's like, oh, I didn't get it done, and it's like, you're going to hate to tell the world you didn't, because that's quote unquote a failure, something that we don't look, highly upon in this society. Thing is, it's all part of the process. You have to fail forward, and so it's not a big deal. But we still, when we have to tell the world that we did, it's still kind of tough. But yeah, don't postpone. Put it down and write down what you're going to do. It's like Jesse Itzler. Hope I'm not butchering his name. I saw him in Vegas, and he has a calendar that he has. He's an awesome guy, but he gets you a calendar, and you actually put your vacation times down first. It's just like, that is what's important. Everything else works around your vacation time and all that stuff that you want to do. And he's got that 100% right, because right now in life we have it backwards. We always are too into the quote unquote to the man, to the government. We've got to pay our taxes. It's just like, oh my gosh, what happens if we don't? I mean, like somebody was saying on Facebook, it's like, this government that is so many trillions of dollars in debts is giving FICO scores, which is actually companies doing that. But it's just like, the government shouldn't tell us anything. They have shown that they don't know how to handle anything. They don't know how to run anything, because they wouldn't be that much in debt. And why we keep giving them the power to do that is beyond me, because we should be firing them. It's just like, we, the people, are going to take this over. And I'm not talking about revolution. It's like, no, we're coming in, and this is what's going to happen. We're not going to have this program anymore. We're going to have this program, and we're going to, this is probably going to get me in trouble, but it's just like, when you're that far in debt, it's only a matter of time very soon that you're not going to have the choices. You're going to be out of choices. So we need to take control, and not now, yesterday, actually, because we're getting very close to not, with these countries setting up all this currency that would basically take the dollar out. I don't know. I'm not as, I don't know on that stuff, but I think that could change our whole world. And don't know. I pray it doesn't, but it could, because the dollar's been, the currency. And when these other governments basically form their own currency, they could just say "Sayonara, United States." And I think we don't take it seriously enough. I think we don't know what to do, because when you do, a mind confused does nothing. And I think we're very much confused, because it's like the government kind of keeps us that way. But it's just like we need to really find out. It's just like I was talking to, can't remember what it was. Why aren't we the premium country in the United States that we used to be? Why don't we make the best deals? Why do we have a country that runs? We should have no debt. We should live within the amount of means we have. And if we don't, we need to find out another way to make more, so we have more to do for programs. But oh yeah, and I was talking to an art teacher, and she said the one thing she'd noticed, she'd done teaching for 11 years, and she said the kids are not motivated. She said that they's like come and bring her the project. It's like, so what would you give me for the grade right now if I just handed it in now? And like she said, she had never seen that until recently. It's just like, that's a bad mindset. That's not a good mindset. That's not going to get them very far in life. And that's what she said. They can learn the hard way, or they can learn the easy way. But and this thing with the 4-day work week for Bernie Sanders. Um, so how's that work? You act like the money's just pulled out of the air. These poor people that are trying to keep these businesses going, and then you're going to basically put another nail in the coffin. It's just like these people are going to have people that are less time. So they're never going to have anything going on, because at 40 hours, they can't get stuff done. And you're going to cut it back to 32 hours and then still pay them like they're doing 40. So where's that business owner going to get that money? Oh, I guess we're going to have the government subsidize us. It's just another way to control us. It's all it is. It's control. And we don't want that to go on. For one thing, that's socialism. Or this, $400 a week, or 400. I can't remember. It was $400 maybe a week or a month, whatever it was. It's just like, the money that we're giving to the government, they're using to string us along, and it's not a good thing. And anybody who thinks they're deserving, because I was reading the comments, it's like, I'm all in, throw some benefits in there, and I'm definitely all in. It's like, you don't realize that money is coming from you, and if it has to come through your, however it comes to you, because the government is us. I think so many people have forgotten that we are the government. The government has even tried to make us think that way. The government acts like they're the all-powerful authority, and they need to get out of the stuff that they were never meant to do. They were meant to run this country, and that is all they were meant to do, and protect us and all that. But none of this stuff with the EPA, TikTok, any of that bull. And yeah, I'm probably going to get myself in trouble, but I don't care. And it's just like this. It's past time to like, this mindset doesn't fly anymore. Our grandparents are probably, if they're still alive, they're probably cringing. And if they're in their grave, they're probably turning over in their grave, because that was not the way they were brought up. You took care of yourself. And if you needed help, maybe your neighbor did. And, the government maybe did. But now it's just gravy train. It's just like, and we give government money to other governments, and we're the one broke. Figure that one out. Yeah, that sounds like a really win-win plan. Sounds like a lose-lose plan. And I don't want to see that, because nobody's going to be able to catch your dreams then. And yeah, it's not a good thing. But like I said, with the thing last week with the homeless and everything, I always say somebody should do something about it. You and I are somebody. It's past time we start taking our actions to say, no, government, this isn't going to happen anymore. And because whatever we allow will continue. And I know I've said that many times, but it is. It's just like, we seem like we don't think we can do anything. It's just like the government's like, well, I'm raising your taxes. Too bad. It's like, or we're going to vote on this. Just like the other day, when they passed, in the Republican House. And it's just like, why didn't we say, nope, that's not happening? For one thing, I'm not going to go there. I'm not getting into politics, but because I already kind of have. It's just like, we have to make sure that we don't postpone things that need to be done. And that's one thing. We need to take care of the government. I saw a thing the other day down at the border. We can't postpone that anymore. That is actually third world. why our federal government is not doing something is a big, big, big red flag. There's so many things that are said, it's not a government of us, of the people, would not do that. That's probably why the Supreme Court said, Texas, you can enforce the law. Because even the Supreme Court knows better than what our government is. And so on that. But going back, don't postpone your life. There's always going to be something coming up. Always. Illness, MRI, breaking your leg, extra bill that you didn't count on. And you still have to go forward. Because when you go forward, the universe likes that. Universe likes stubbornness. Just like, I'm going to do this. And when you do that, the universe comes to your aid. And people are going to say, well, not for me. It's like, yeah, it probably did one way or another. Probably not maybe the way you wanted it, and maybe not in your timeline. Because that is one thing that I've talked about, God's timing. It's definitely different than my timing. And but asking you shall receive it always occurs. You are promised that. And so I think I've gone on long enough here. It's just that don't postpone anything. If you want to have hazelnut coffee and you think, I really shouldn't, go ahead and do it. If you enjoy it, go for it. If you want to take a nap, it's like naps are kind of, you're a slacker. And it's like, don't care. Just do it anyway. If you want to go, out to eat, they want us to be responsible, but they only do that under the guise of controlling us too. And yeah, you do have to point and be responsible. It's just the way that the world's set up. But to a point, is control. And but don't postpone your life. Don't postpone it. Don't postpone it. Whatever you want to do. It's just like, I talk to people that it's like, how do you travel so much? It's like, it's a non-negotiable. It's just like, it will be non-negotiable this year. It will occur. Not for sure how, but it will occur. So on that, don't postpone it. And you will never regret that, because you will actually have lived your life, because all the things you didn't postpone that you got to do and made memories, especially for your kids. Don't postpone vacations. Some of those were the best times of my life, the family vacations. So there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. So on that, thanks for joining me on this episode of the Dreamcatcher Podcast. Look forward to you joining me on the next one. And until then, take care.